Okay, 1, 2, 3,
Hey, I'm back again with some great content for you guys out there.
Mm-hmm.
For the loyal fans, Linda.
How are you, Linda?
Happy birthday.
No, we know that Paul listens now because he gave us shite for telling everybody he washes his belt, which is true.
He does wash his belt. I don't believe him. He tried to give out and say that we were lying about him, but he washes his belt, people. When you see him, call him out. Send him DMs. It's Paul Doherty. And he lives
Do you know anybody who washes their belt? Write us in. And we'll call them out on the podcast. We'll name them and shame them.
Who's this? Scott Sensei, the boss. The boss is here with us today. The boss is here, and we've got quite a fun day. Our weekend ahead of us. Mm-hmm. We're doing a late night seminars.
We are.
Very cool.
Spooky karate.
What time do we finish tonight?
11 p.m.
11 p.m. See, I work so hard for these guys. Work so hard. So here's a question for you, Sensei. So,
I presume we've started then. That's my question. We started it. I went to put my thing on charge and I came back and you're already talking with that silly tone that you have.
We thought we'd get into our comfortable, natural state. Because sometimes when you start with us, we feel a bit of pressure, you know? Besides someone who can cause us so much damage, both verbally and physically.
Speaking of causing damage, Scott Sensei just gave me a haircut. And he's good at some things. And
it looks fine with what I had to work with.
He's not going to break out into the hairstylist business.
Mm-hmm. Not like Dave Hazard. Dave Hazard was a hairdresser before he turned professional at karate. Yeah.
Cannot picture that at all.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
That should be a thing. What people did before they were karate instructors.
What did you do before you were a karate instructor?
Nothing.
But what were you? What was your? You were at university, right? What were you studying at uni?
Very little. I read geography and social anthropology.
That's the posh way of saying it.
And I qualified as a high school teacher, but I never actually worked.
But you would have been a high school teacher then.
No.
Good morning, Mr. Langley. Call me Sensei.
My classroom, my rules. No, the only reason I did that was so I could get to Japan. Or get easier to Japan. So with a PGCE, Postgraduate Certificate of Education, you were kind of basically guaranteed a job.
There you go.
They'll never let me in. I've no degree at all.
Yeah.
No chance. I think even I could have a doctorate, they wouldn't let me in.
You'd need a doctor to let you in.
So you're teaching this seminar for Canadian friends over the weekend. And my question is, because we're struggling with Zoom on Zoom class and stuff like that, but you're very well known for teaching a good class and always delivering. Like some senseis teach a dud. I don't think I've ever seen you teach a dud before.
No.
What's the secret to keeping it fresh? How do you keep it fresh? How do you keep everyone so enthralled? How is it that
I take that question straight from you?
How is it that people don't go, oh Christ, there's Scott doing his usual
the thing is,
expansion box.
I think there are plenty of people, that's the point, who go, there's Scott again, talking about his, it's all about kind of the hips and all about contraction and it's only because, by the very nature of you guys sticking around, it means that you like what I teach. But there's a whole load of people, let me assure you, a whole load of people out there who don't like what I teach. And, or don't even, have never seen anything I've done. So,
But you do keep it fresh though. Like you do have, you'd never teach the same thing twice. You've said that before. Or you try, definitely, you make an effort not to teach the same thing twice.
I try to forget what I've taught.
Right.
But although,
when you do teach it twice, you feel guilty about it.
I'll tell you what, I was in a seminar. I won't say where or when. It was a number of years ago, and I started teaching, and someone came up to me and said to me halfway through the class, "You taught this last year," and I had no recollection at all what that I had. And luckily, it wasn't one of the hosts, and the hosts were very happy. And luckily, it was the first day of a weekend, first session of the first day of a weekend seminar. But I was like, shit, I've never even thought of it. But like, yeah, that's the problem when you and I'm sure I wasn't teaching in the exact same way because I didn't even notice. But I very quickly diverted left.
Mad that you managed to teach the same thing twice in the same place.
Yeah.
By accident.
Yeah, it was a different country.
What?
Yeah, it wasn't even.
Oh
like,
yeah. It was like on one of your weekends.
Yeah, it was a different country, and like I was like, yeah, I was mortified. but only like to me, like no one else knew apart from the one person that told me. Took great pleasure in telling me.
Very good. So do you believe in like lesson planning for classes, for seminars? Do you spend much time thinking about what you're going to teach, or do you have that creative flow?
Well, I think you should have a good plan and then be willing to abandon it at any moment. And so, I think when I first started teaching, and like I used to have quite a detailed plan, and I remember like I used to go to the Norwegian summer camp every year, and that. So what I'd do is like throughout the year, I would the Norwegian summer camp was the finale. Because then I'd normally, because that was like the last weekend of June, first weekend of July, then I'd mostly have the July and August off in terms of teaching. And then so from September, I would start kind of like playing about with stuff and teaching, playing about with stuff in the dojo, kind of refining it a weekend, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work, do that until I had this kind of perfect couple of hours, whatever, down, and then I'd get bored with it, even though nobody else would, because I'd be teaching different people every weekend, get bored of it, and then I'd do the same again and the same again. And so I'd go right the way from September until the end of June doing that. And by the time I got to June, I would have kind of basically, I don't know, 12, 14 hours of really refined material. And I would then write on like a number of people had kind of remarked it, I'd have the schedule out, and on the bus, because like a 2-hour journey from the airport to Fredrikstad, I would write what I was going to do, because you'd be teaching a lot of classes over the 4 days, and I'd basically cherry pick all those lessons and then just deliver it, and it was a thing that people used to say, oh, I wonder what Scott's new line would be this year. What's his new kind of take on stuff. And it would be the culmination of a year, and then I would, in the summer camp, I'd basically shoot my load, and then I'd have to start all over again in September.
That's cool. That's like a comedian, sort of ramping up to his comedy special, right?
Yeah, no, it's exactly, that's how I mould it.
Yeah, that's great,
including the jokes. Yeah,
that's very good. So, for example, on Zoom then, are you still going through that same process with the restrictions, or have you had to adapt a little bit to what you're doing?
Yeah, like so with the Zoom, like there's been less weekend seminars, hasn't there? And also, more importantly, the people that have been on the seminars are basically the same people. Mm-hmm. I mean, well, that's not true, but say 20-30% of the people are on the weekend after weekend, and so that's enough for me to say to myself, I can't teach the same stuff. So I only need one person. Like back in the day, I used to teach in England a lot, and maybe two times a month I'd be teaching a seminar in the UK, and there would be one or two people that would be at every single seminar, and it just mean like I couldn't. If I saw that person, I thought, okay, I can't teach anything that I've done before then. So that was kind of important. But like the Zoom's exactly the same. So now I'm not kind of building up that kind of weekend seminar over a long period, like months. I'm doing it within a week of teaching it Monday and Thursday, and then delivering it on the Saturday. So it's a lot short-lived. But there again, I'm not teaching 4 hours a day. I'm teaching 45 minutes maximum. So that's the difference as well.
Yeah.
Actually, also the way you described your, building up your material over a whole year, I kind of do that every day with my 4 Zoom classes. For the first one, I decide like 30 seconds before I start the Zoom meeting one thing I'm going to teach, and in the half an hour, it'll become a class, hopefully, unless I have a complete brain fart and I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
And then the second class, I teach the same thing and it's a bit better. Third class, again, it's a bit better. And then when I teach the senior grades class for my last Zoom class, I just teach an advanced version of what I was doing with the kiddies. And because it's been going around in my brain for an hour and a half, I can teach an advanced version of it then.
I think you've also got to kind of give yourself the freedom of also, like, when you find yourself in that position where it's just kind of like, the flow, when you're kind of in the flow of it all, just to recognize that and let it go.
Yeah.
I was once in Israel. I will name names. It was the JKS European Championships. Were you there?
I actually had knee surgery and had to miss that one. That was devastating.
Well, why the Europeans would be in Israel, I don't know. But we were there for the Europeans, and they decided that they would. The competition, I think, was on the Saturday and the Sunday, and they invited everyone. There was a seminar Thursday, Friday. The Japanese instructors Yamaguchi and Kaneyama taught on the Friday, but they thought it'd be a good idea that European heads would teach on this Thursday. And so I was asked to teach for an hour, and maybe Paul Giandrea, and there's a guy from Russia, and and there was one of the Israeli instructors that was teaching, and he was teaching before me, the black belts. I think it was like maybe knee dan and above or sandan and above group, and he kept on running to the sideline and reading from his notebook, and then coming back and going, okay, next, and then demonstrating something, and making some kind of basic points, and then running off whilst everyone's standing there reading something and coming back, okay, next, and they all were just kind of different points, and like nothing really flowed. It was the worst class I've ever experienced in my life, on a big stage. And then I got up and taught. That was real motivation to go, right, this is how it's done.
Yeah, I hate seeing people, musicians, gigging musicians, with an iPad set up in front of them so they can read lyrics.
Yeah.
I think that if you're reading lyrics, first of all, you just learn the fucking lyrics. Like, it's not that hard.
The pros do that, though. The pros have the wee monitors.
Yeah, I know, it's terrible.
But like some of the greats.
Oh, you mean like to read their lyrics off of?
Yeah, some of them have
That's because they've
like
done
50
so
songs.
much heroin in their rock and roll lifestyles. They can't remember their fucking granny's name.
But
Never mind the
when
lyrics.
you have
of
a
the song.
discography of like 50 songs. Sometimes you're going to be like, how did that one go again?
Man, I know hundreds of songs, and I know them in my brain. Okay, and also if you're reading off notes at a karate seminar, you're not looking at the students.
Yeah.
You're not responding to you're not reading the room. And if you're looking at your iPad while you're playing a gig, you're not with anyone. You're on your own.
Yeah. I mean, that's like reading the room. I mean, this is not a lecture. You're not just providing information. Like it's a kind of symbiotic kind of experience where you're taking from the students and giving back, and you're feeding, and they're feeding you, and like just to have that kind of disconnect and okay, what was next on my list, as if everything was set. Like from the moment you said yoi to the moment that you said yame, you knew exactly what you were going to do. That's impossible,
Yeah, I mean, I've in my small experience of teaching in seminars and stuff, you go I learned quickly going in with that plan, and I think read the room quite well. I then realise that if I hold on to the plan for too long, you get stuck, and you realise that the class isn't going in the direction that you want it to go. So you have to, like you say, be willing to just abandon it and then go in whatever direction is right.
Like tonight, I have 2 or 3 kind of starting exercises with a general theme. And then I've got a few that I know that I could stick in if I get lost or get kind of stuck. But generally speaking, I'll just start with those 2 or 3, see what they're doing, sense of where they're getting the theme, or if they're getting it, if they're not getting it, and then just kind of move on from there. So
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
We will, yeah. Well, there's one theme for the entire weekend.
Yeah, they've asked you to teach taisabaki.
Yeah.
What do you think of taisabaki, Sensei?
I think it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that it's a bit like sen no sen and go no sen and sen no sen, and it's one of those things that people latch onto with great comfort without then having to do the hard work. Like if it's just merely describing, like distance is a good one. Like sen, sen, gono, sen. It's just merely describing different distances, but that as if they're unique and separate when it's not. It's just a spectrum, right? So like one will eventually morph into the next, and so it's much. But like that's too difficult to understand, because to understand that is a much more kind of deeper kind of understanding of distance. Like there's distance intelligence and spatial intelligence. Basically, it's a much difficult. It's a difficult thing to teach spatial intelligence in an intellectual way. But people have intellectualized it and made it into things that people can study and go, right, I understand that. But they don't. They understand one point within an infinite amount of points within space.
But that's what karate does that with everything.
Yeah.
All the techniques have their own special names, and we have names for our stances, but nobody makes a solid static stance in a fight.
Yeah. I saw on Facebook or maybe it was Instagram about this guy had demonstrated the 21 punches of karate.
Oh yeah.
And fair enough. But did he not realise they're all the same thing? And he's going, this is Kagazuki, and this is Orozuki, and this is Kizamazuki, and this is Oizuki, and this is Chokus. Like he went on and done. Like he had, to be fair to him, he had quite a nice technique. But I just thought, are you missing the point? So I didn't comment, obviously, and kept my thoughts to myself until now.
It's kind of like the styles of kicks with Sensei said. This
is
a Taekwondo style, like roundhouse kick. And this is a karate roundhouse kick. And this is a Muay Thai roundhouse kick. This is a Kung Fu roundhouse kick. So fuck off.
We have to give him shit for that when we finally get him on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, you posted a really lovely picture the other day. Lovely picture. And it was you in the JKS Hombu Dojo.
Yeah.
I think.
What do you mean you think?
I think it was Hombu Dojo. I don't know, it could have been somewhere else. But it was you.
It wasn't really him, he was never there.
He was never there. But why did you post it? Did you feel nostalgia, or was there a reason for that post?
Just nostalgia.
Just nostalgia. Yeah. Do you ever miss that sort of all ahead of you, like no responsibility in terms of sort of building an organisation and being the sort of leader of a community?
Do I miss the lack of responsibility?
Do you miss focusing on just yourself? Like, because I imagine back then it was all about you, like in your own mind. Yeah,
but okay. Well, I mean, first of all, I say it was to be honest, it wasn't just nostalgia that made me post that, and like what you're inferring from that is that I posted because Koike Senpai posted the similar photograph on his Facebook with me edited out. And actually, that makes me quite happy. Just like they edited Kanazawa Sensei out of Dynamic Karate and put Yohara, or maybe what was it? Stalin, not Stalin. Who was it? Lenin edited out Tolstoy or something.
Trotsky.
Trotsky, that was it. Yeah, it's like the famous edits of history. Like bleeding obvious. Like
They, you know what they did? They cut out Countess Markovich from the photo of...
What, in Dynamic Karate?
No. From a photo where they're surrendering after the Easter Rising in 1916. She was there, and they cropped her out of the photo as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They couldn't have a woman show as a leader of the big rebellion. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, like it's humorous, and I often think, well, obviously I still have relevance there, so it's kind of, it doesn't, and so I didn't have any kind of much negative feelings towards that. It is what it is. And so me posting the similar picture the other day was nothing really particularly connected to that, although I guess in hindsight, obviously that's what people would think. But I'm genuinely not. But if they do think that, it's fine, it makes no difference. It is what it is. But it's the history. So but like, do I miss kind of those? Well, no, not really. Can I tell you why? Because like, even now, like, everything was designed then. I was doing everything that I wanted to do to promote, to kind of, further my study, as I am doing now. And so everything that I've built up is just merely a way of allowing me to continue to develop. I mean, it's certainly not to kind of get rich. I mean, like, I'm doing all right, but and that's only ever as a byproduct of what I do rather than anything else. And it's not a way to kind of wield power, because I think, like, the bigger the group is, the more you end up doing that stuff that you don't want to do. And if you want to run a successful group, then it's not dictatorial. It's you having to kind of, I don't know, oblige people and kind of go, okay, you do that. I don't really want you to do that, but okay, I accept that. It's always constantly kind of allowing people to do stuff that's going against your own better judgment, because that's what that's what a good group leader does. He facilitates rather than dictates.
But you don't miss not having to do that. You
Well,
must.
no, because I tell you why. Because that's the price I pay.
Okay.
For having the ability to have the life I have. So it's a small amount of stress and a small amount of giving in to people, and well, not giving in, but
Managing people.
yeah, not even managing, but facilitating, or trying to understand what they need, what's their motivation, why are they acting in that way, trying to be empathetic, and then say, yeah, okay, do it. Even though you think, I mean, obviously there's a line, and sometimes you have to say no, but most of the time it's like, yeah, do that. And that's all in order to facilitate my life, which is, teaching 2 classes a week here, training because that's what I need to do, and then going and travelling and teaching and enjoying the craft of teaching.
Of course. You can't. I can't remember when it was you said it, but I think it was on our last podcast we did together, or maybe it was when you were talking to Simon. You said you just do what you do, and if people follow along with it, and if people want to throw their lot in, then good. But you don't see yourself as as a leader. That's what you're doing. You're doing what you want to do, and if people jump on board, then fine. But you aren't devising a scheme to draw people to you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously what I do is also well considered. It's not as if I'm blundering about and just walking my path and going, oh yeah, people follow me. That's surprising.
Like Forrest Gump when he went for that run.
That's not the case at all, because obviously there's a very big element of me who's trying to kind of develop an organisation. But that organisation, the development of the organisation, is for a couple of things. Firstly, to make sure that I'm with a merry band of men and women, that I've got a group of a community, and also that there is a legacy, that when I take a step back, that it will continue, that all my life's work doesn't just stop the moment I stop working, or stop living. So, but again, it's not, I think a lot of people look through their lens, and their lens is how am I going to make money? And how am I going to be powerful? And so they look at me and they go, well, that's got to be Scott's motivation, and therefore make lots of judgments. Oh, look, he's posted again something that's just so he can make money. Yeah. I had one guy yesterday who that photograph that you mentioned, Pele from Sweden, had said, oh, is that the window that was on the right side of the picture, is that where you looked through and looked at the fish, referencing Karate Stupid. And so I'd said, oh no, that was it. Actually, the window was behind the camera. And then some random guy had said, actually not randomly, I think he's a Facebook friend, but he'd said, I'm something along the lines of, I'm sick of Scott, or Pele, don't you get sick of Scott going on constantly promoting himself as trained in Japan, and something like he's constantly, oh yeah, I was there training with them. Completely random, and so I replied to him nicely and said, well, actually I can't remember the last time I posted anything about my connection to Japan. And we all have our, that was it. He said, he just goes on about in his book. He complains constantly about Japan in his book, but then takes every opportunity to remind people that he trained in Japan with them. And I just said, well, I didn't think I was complaining. My version of the book is, or my impression of the book is that this was what happened. And you can take it as a complaint or not, but I certainly didn't feel like it was. Anyway, I replied to him. But the point is that he looked at it through his lens, that's his motivation, because that would be my motivation, and therefore judge me for that. When, no, I'm me, and I don't do things like everyone else. No one, obviously.
Only one Scott Riley.
That guy was a big meanie.
Well,
You want me to talk to his mammy for you?
Yeah.
I'll call her up.
So how do you deal with the negative criticism? Because the karate world is rife with it, right? Politics is one of the cattiest places, I think.
Yeah.
About in terms of martial arts, it's one of the cattiest sort of groups you can get. So how do you deal with people, like when people actively try and stop you from progressing forward? Whether it be within the organisation, within your own training, because you've had people trying to ban you from training certain places, you've had people trying to stop people from training with you or being in contact with the group and things like that. So how do you manage that kind of negativity?
I think the ultimate revenge is just to be happy, right? So, I just let it wash over me, and with the knowledge that, they are kind of driven through their own kind of insecurities and ego anyway, and so I don't have to buy into that. If you don't play their game, then you don't lose their game. And so, if I went head to head with certain people and started complaining about them or dirty tricks or kind of ringing people up and slacking them off like they have done to me, then it's a zero-sum game. One of us is going to lose. But if I don't play their game, then they'll burn themselves out. They'll kind of play a game that no one else is playing and look the fool, and I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing. So, and also I think that if you're genuine, so I did an interview with Bujin TV on Wednesday.
What is Bujin TV for the people that might not know?
So Bujin TV is the Netflix of the karate world.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah, BujinTV.com.
I heard Jesse Encamp's on that.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got over 500 videos now of different mostly Japanese martial art, mostly karate, but also different styles of Okinawan karate and mainland karate, and also now kung fu.
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyway, so
it's Bujin.tv, isn't it?
No, BujinTV.com.
BujinTV.com. Look it up, folks.
Check it out.
You're missing out.
Scott Sensei's best content.
Yeah. But I did interview.
Money, please.
Don't forget, become a Patreon supporter of HDKI today. Okay, carry on.
Forgot what I was going to say now. What was I going to say?
You were doing an interview.
Oh yeah, I was doing an interview with them, and they said, "Oh, you're known for having a laugh and a joke and being a super friendly sensei. What made you decide to do that or to teach in that manner? And like I said, well, I never decided that. I said, most people can sniff out whether you're being genuine or not. So I don't have it in me to be that strict, stern sensei. I mean, there's times when I'm like, I have to say what I have to say. But even that comes from a genuine place. If I'm genuinely kind of pissed off, I will say I'm pissed off, but most of the time I'm genuinely kind of happy. So I teach in a happy way. And I said, if you don't act with sincerity and show a level of being genuine, then people will just recognise that as being false. And so if you recognise that's false, what else is false, And so I think in terms of people slagging me off, what are they going to do? Slag me off for being too happy in the dojo?
It's possible.
Yeah. Don't you know people train harder when you're mean to them?
Yeah. Well, you know what Scott does? He goes out and has a drink and gets a bit merry with the students afterwards and has a laugh and a joke. Well, then, guilty as charged.
Haters gonna hate.
Maybe you should. Maybe have you ever given it a go though? Have you ever been the really severe kind of KUGB style angry man instructor?
I wouldn't know where to begin.
That would be fun to do. Like,
Again, faster, something like that. I don't know.
imagine just flipping the switch on the kids just once, like in the middle of class, just like complete bipolar, like switch and just start screaming.
Well, I don't start. I
Go for it.
was about to say I've done that. I don't just start screaming for no reason, but sometimes if it's not going my way, I get quite strict.
Yeah, the only time I get strict in a sense of with the entire class would be if it's a high grade class and I feel like they're not putting everything into it. That's when I would
same.
I would give a rousing speech.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do karate in the beaches. We'll do karate in the fields and on the landing grounds.
Imagine Winston Churchill doing karate. Karate's for everyone.
When I started at university, it was a KUGB club, and there was an instructor there called Steve Jackson, and like I'd come from, like my instructor was like the funniest person I have ever met in my life. You know, he's hilarious, and he used to teach in that manner. He was amazing at karate and very funny, and so that was what I was brought up with. You know, and then I went to this KUGB club at university, and in the first session, we had the freshers mark. You know, so we had in excess of 100 people.
Wow.
In the dojo. Probably 80 of them were complete beginners. And then I was the only black belt. There was kind of a few brown belts and a few Q grades that had lasted over the years. So probably 20 Q grades and me, and 80 black belts. And he's teaching 80 white belts, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he was teaching Chokazuki, and some guy yawned, and he said, "If you do that again, I'm gonna rip off your head and shit down your neck." And I looked around thinking, oh, he's having a laugh, you know. And everyone else was deadly serious and looking straight forward, like scared. And I was like, I mean, he was ruse size, and
dangerous,
and just, you know, a little angry man. I thought, that's not how you do it, mate. That's not how you do it.
Oh my goodness!
The next session, there was, I think, out of the 80, probably 5 or 10 turned up.
Yes.
He just lost everyone, and yeah, it was insane.
I think that's one of the most stupid threats, and people use it sincerely all the time. That's something like that's what Jack Nicholson said it in is it A Few Good Men?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When he was playing the big old fashioned Marine.
Yeah.
It was like it suited that character, but ordinary people cannot say that. You can't say that. You just sound stupid.
That's funny. Like my first instructor was the KGB instructor, and he was quite funny and humorous, and easygoing. But then would flick the switch and become all serious. But when he became serious, he would start speaking with a Japanese accent.
Oh god!
you know what I mean? He'd start like cutting the sentences in half and speaking like in broken English. We're like, "You're from Trin, mate." Trin.
Oh, Trin. I was going to say Shrim's in County Kildare. Anyway.
You know?
Yeah, I won't name him, but there's an instructor in Ireland who does the warm-up in a Japanese accent. Like, change.
It's too much, eh? We have to cut this one short because it's about time to go set up for the seminar. So will we do our quick fails of the week? Short one, folks, but I think excellent content, Sensei. Excellent calls.
We should get him on more often.
If only he was nearby.
You should listen to Questions Over a Beer on Scott Langley's YouTube channel. These good philosophical karate chats with his friend Simon Black.
Yeah, a bit more highbrow than this.
Yeah.
It gets a wee bit deeper into the important questions. But yeah, and Bujin TV. Check that out. And
hdki.org/training online. Training-online.
But fail of the week, do you have one?
This haircut. Trusting Scott Sensei to cut my hair was a massive fail. But it worked out okay in the end, but the first time you told me to go and look in the mirror, I was like, what the fuck has happened here? You're gonna have to do better than that, man. So yeah, but thanks. It was fun. Lockdown troubles.
My fail of the week has to be trying to teach Yan Shodan over Zoom to the white belts, and the kids couldn't get the aspect of the emphasis at all. Didn't know which way they're turning. So we have the whiteboard in the dojo. So I carried the camera and the tripod over to the whiteboard. And I said, guys, look, it's a capital I. That's the shape. So and then I started drawing little arrows for each move. And by the time I was finished, it looked like, I don't know, the map to the lost city of Atlantis or something. It was
the ravings of a lunatic.
Crazy. But that was hilarious, and the kids were just laughing at me the whole time, going, "What the hell are you talking about, Sensei?" I looked at it, took a step back, and I was like, "See, it's simple. Look." Yeah, that was hilarious. Silly.
Fail of the week, Sensei? This haircut, go on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought that's a brilliant success, to be honest. I saw Barry Sheen today.
Oh, did you?
I did, yeah. I only kind of walked past him and we had
himself.
Yeah, we had a quick chat, global warming. And he said, "Oh, great class last night, Sensei." "Oh, yeah, thanks very much." And he says, "Oh, that question though from at the end."
Yeah.
Now, like, I don't know what I said, but I'm guessing what he heard is a kind of brief version of what I said that was maybe cut and spliced because of the person who was asking the question. So at the end, this lady said, "Excuse me, Sensei, I don't know if you remember me." Now this is what he heard.
Okay.
Therefore, I presume what everyone heard.
Okay.
I'm not saying this is what I said. This is what he heard. "Sensei, yeah, I'm just asking about the kicks. I don't know if you remember me." And he heard, "No, I don't. What's your question?"
Oh!
No.
How dismissive.
That's awful.
I know. Okay, so it was Susan from Canada,
Yeah.
who I know, who I've been answering questions on text message on Facebook Messenger. So, like, I know I wouldn't have said that, but that's what he heard, and I presume that's what she heard.
Yeah, it must have like skipped
Yeah,
or
yeah.
glitched or something,
Yeah.
and you were just going like, "No, what do you want?" Very angry man.
Very angry.
It's
He's
true.
always a very angry man.
Scott Sensei is an angry man. Okay, we better go. We're going to be late for the Canadians.
Yes. On to training.
Oh, thanks for listening, folks.
Ra, ra, ra.